In this video, we are going to go over the same type of problem at the end of our notes in sections 3, 4, 5 in chapter 2. And this is also an ALEKS topic. So the name up here is the exact name of that ALEKS topic if you are struggling with this for that program. So for these problems, I'm going to show you two approaches that you can take to answer them. So go ahead and pause the video, read through the question. Okay. Now for this one, we are talking about our calling time and our cost. And because they gave us a graph, I know that my x values have to be the time in minutes, and my y values have to be that cost. So as I go back and read through the problem, I'm just going to set up a series of points based on what I'm told is minutes and the cost for that time. Okay. So if I'm reading through, it says that the monthly cost for 55 minutes of calls is $15.77. So as a point, that would look like 55 and then comma 15.77. Okay. And then for the next one, we have 66 minutes is $16.76. So again, I'm just going to write that as a point. And $16.76. And then our question is asking, what is the monthly cost for 59 minutes? So I have 59 minutes, and we are trying to find that missing cost. Okay. Now, no matter what method we are using, the first thing that we're going to have to do is find our slope between the 2 points that we know. So I'm going to start with these 2 points, and remember our slope formula is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or we can flip that to do y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So for the problem, I'm going to take my 15.77 minus 16.76 over 55 minus 66. And then we're just going to work on simplifying that. So if you don't have a calculator handy, go grab one. All right, so if we do that subtraction, this will be negative 0.99 over negative 11. So if I divide, that means that my slope for this is going to be 0.09. Okay. So no matter what, this is always going to be our first step for this problem. Now once we have that slope, to find the missing value, we're going to do one of two things. The first method is just writing our equation. And when we do that, we are using our point slope form. So that's the y minus y1 equals our slope times x minus x1. So for our m, we're using that 0.09. And for the x1 and the y1, we're going to go back and pick one of the original points to substitute into that spot. And it doesn't matter which one we use. So for me, I tend just to use whatever the first one is that I wrote down. Okay. So that is going to give us y minus 15.77 equals our slope of 0.09 times x minus 55. Okay. And now I'm going to use what we are trying to find. So as we are looking at this, I know that 59 minutes represents an x value, and we are trying to find its missing y value. So I'm going to substitute this 59 in for the x in my equation, and then we are just going to solve it for y. So everything else will stay the same. And then I'm going to substitute that number in. So again, my x is at 59, because that's what we were given for that point. And now I am just working on solving for y. So as I do that, I'm going to combine my 59 minus 55. So if I do that, that is going to give me 4. And then if I take 4 times that 0.9, let's see, that will be 0.36. And then my last thing that I'll need to do is add that 15.77 over. Okay. So my Y is going to be $16.13. So that is how much it is going to cost for 59 minutes. And that number should make sense to us because we know that it has to be less than this since 59 is smaller than our 66, but it needs to be bigger than our 55 since 59 is bigger. Okay, so as I'm comparing my Y's, they do make sense. Okay, so that's one way to work through the problem. So another way to work through it is to use the slopes. So what we're going to do if we're going to use this method is we're going to go back, pick one of the original points, doesn't matter which one. So again, typically I just pick my first one. So we're going to use one of the original points and then the point that we're trying to find the missing value of, and we're going to substitute these into our slope formula and then set it equal to the slope that we found at the beginning. Okay. So if we do that, this will be, so again, this one is my x1 and my y1. So I'm going to take my 15.77 minus my missing y value that I don't know over 55 minus the x value of that 59, and then that will be equal to the slope that we already found. And now we are just solving for y. So I'm going to combine my like terms. So 15.77 minus y, and then 55 minus 59 is a -4, equals that 0.09. I'm going to move this so I have a little bit more space here. So now anytime we have a fraction to get rid of the denominator, we always multiply by whatever that denominator is to both sides. So when I multiply by that 4, we are going to have that 15.77 minus y equal to a negative 0.36. Let's see, sorry, I'm moving my work around so that way it's not quite so squished together. So negative 0.36. Okay, and then next I'm going to subtract my 15 to both sides. So now I'm going to have a negative y equal to a negative 16.13, and then we would divide everything by that -1. So we end up with that same exact answer. Okay. So again, 2 different methods, same final answer. Okay. All right, so let's try another one. So go ahead and pause the video, read through the next problem, and see if you can set it up to solve. Okay. Now, as we are looking at this, again, my driving time in minutes is my x values. Distance in miles is y. So as they are giving me my numbers, we have 59 miles after 48 minutes. So the point for that is going to be 48 minutes and 59 miles. Okay. Next one, we are going 39.5 miles after 74 minutes. 74 needs to go first, 39.5 second. And then the question is asking how many miles after 90 minutes. So we're going 90 minutes, trying to figure out how much we would have left. Okay. So just like before, we are starting by finding our slope. So again, I'm just taking my y's minus each other over the x's minus each other. And the order that you subtract them in doesn't matter as long as you are starting with the same point. So since I started with 49, that means I have to start with 48 in the bottom. Okay. All right, so again, we're just going through and simplifying. So this will be 19.5 over negative 26. And then if we divide that, that will give us negative 0.75. Okay. Now again, depending on which method you prefer is going to determine your next step. So if we're using that first method that I show you, where we're doing the y minus y1 equals our slope times x minus x1. I'm going back to the original, one of the originals. So I'm just going to say that this is my x1 and my y1, and I'm going to substitute that in. And then my m is at negative 0.75, and then this represents an x value. So I'm going to put 90 in for the x, and then we are trying to find that missing y. So this will be y minus 59 equals our slope of negative 0.75 times the x value from the point we are trying to find its partner to, so that's the 90, minus that 48. And now we are just solving that for y. So if we take 90 minus 48, that is going to give us 42. And then if we multiply that times that negative 0.75, let's see, that will give us negative 31.5, and then adding 59. So y will equal 27.5 miles. And again, we need to make sure that we are remembering to label. Okay. Now, if you don't like that method, then the other one we are using is the slope. So again, we're just going to use one of the originals. So I'm going to use my first one again. And the point that we have that missing information for, plugging those into our slope formula, setting our slope formula equal to the slope that we found at the beginning. So this is going to be 59 minus that y value that we don't know over 48 minus the x value equal to negative 0.75. And now we're just working on simplifying. So 59 minus y stays the same. 48 minus 90 is a negative 42, still equal to negative 0.75. And then to get rid of that fraction, we are just multiplying both sides by the denominator. So 59 minus y is going to equal a positive 31.5. And then I would subtract my 59 over. So that is going to give us negative y equals negative 27.5, and then we are dividing by that negative 1. So either way, we are ending up with the same final answer. And that is going to conclude this video.